Hey everyone, this is Chris Anderson. This is my week 4 remix, mashup, and synthesis. Enjoy the ride. Part of my journey is not always going into the sunset, but it's also enjoying the path and the path to knowledge and the path to understanding. And however and whatever path someone may be on, as long as you learn and you have the ability to gain knowledge, and however that may be, is great. I would travel and drive along that road in a '69 Impala. It's one of my favorite cars. But it's not always the destination, but it's what you learned along the way. In looking over the past 4 weeks of creating to learn in digital and media literacy, these are all lifelong processes. And one can start at any point, but generally I look at the 4 main areas we've discussed as creativity, and this is learning by doing, as discussed by Hobbes and John Dewey in the first chapter in the AACRA model, that there's also critical thinking, that through the creative process one learns to think critically, that someone gains knowledge, and through that, while developing and creating through the use of technological tools, one can build incredible amounts of knowledge. And then there is growth. One has growth, and this is through the creating critical thinking and knowledge building. This is where one can display and understand a growth as a collective group or as an individual. And in the center of all of it is the create to learn, how all of these help someone to create and to develop in their own learning process. Creativity, I saw through these 3 examples of Aniqua, Reina, and Brenda, that there is a revision of initial thoughts. There's always the suggestions that creativity needs a bigger definition, and there's new ways to be creative and in thinking and in process. And all of this, as you can see, is in the create to learn, the 5-step AACRA process: to act, to assess, to analyze, and to create. These are all processes within someone's own personal creativity. Critical thinking, the second area, was I found through Brenda's example, as she explained why it's important to teach critical evaluation skills without the disillusion meaning making that someone may have that they may or not be fully aware of. I saw an Alan's example through the Google Drive, the importance of strategic communication. You just don't communicate, but you can communicate with a goal in mind. And I also really appreciated Billy's example, the presentation through our interview process, and how various aspects of it, how everybody comes from a different point of view, and whether something is true or false, and how everyone learns to be critical in a different way. Knowledge is knowing where you're at personally related to your educational journey and the lifelong learning and everyone's pursuit of happiness. These examples I found were great. I thought Ray's Kermit the Frog meme was brilliant. I thought it was hilarious. How she knows who she is. I know it may seem simple, but this is knowing who you are is an extremely important factor in learning. Deva, I really thought it was a great example of how someone pulls knowledge and understanding from everyone's other sources, and how she mishmashed and she laid these together. And how Hobbes describes in chapter 3, when we create media, we internalize the knowledge deeply. And the last area is growth. I thought the 3 really good examples of growth is Alan's podcast recording, Brenda's vaccines, the growth and how I grew and how I understood another way and how to present information through ThingLink, through a split screen and different ways. I had not known how to do this. And then Brianna's example of how you can bring someone together to the collective whole through infographics and how to help build that. The final area of Create to Learn is, I thought it was really important that Hobbes discusses the basis of her book. And I'll quote her. She says, with the right kind of strategic guidance, learners can gain the power of digital authorship, working individually or collaboratively, and in the process begin to exchange deeply with disciplinary knowledge while developing communication competencies through creating a real world via messages of authentic audiences. So we're all learning from one another. How did we learn from one another and our peers? And I had those examples. So in the end, we all create to learn through creativity, through critical thinking, through knowledge, and through growth.